Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you are all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And yesterday, the CDL Stage 1 Week 1 concluded. The Atlanta home series is over. Many great matchups, of course, as we talked about last night. But a few interesting storylines to bring out of it. The main matchup, of course, OpTic versus FaZe. That was a big one. Lots to discuss on that. But Dallas Empire, the reigning world champions, losing their matchup against the Minnesota Rokkr. This was pretty surprising, all things considered, given the fact that Los Angeles Thieves pretty much bodied the Rokkr in their matchup 3-1 not too long ago. But in that series, Rokkr did win the Search and Destroy, and once again they seem to dominate all their Search and Destroys to get the job done against the reigning world champions, the Dallas Empire. The exciting thing about this is really the Dallas Empire, as we were looking at it this time yesterday in the preview video, I suppose, for the day, that, Dallas did a tweet to imply it was going to be an easy matchup. That is not what happened indeed. Intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new, as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. First of all then, let's run through the overall KD and stuff like that for the weekend. Huke with a 1.39 on the Dallas Empire, despite losing this series, had a, truly phenomenal map set this entire weekend. Dashy's up here as well, Simp is here, Cammy MVP, Priestahh, Arcitys, Kenny, CleanX, Asim, and Methods all in the top 10 overall KDs. In hardpoint, Huke continues to dominate with a 1.54. I'll leave this up on screen for a second if you guys would like to pause the video and see everything in more detail. Awakening, I think he had a, crazy map, like 13 in 5 or something to that effect. 2.6 KD here in the Search and Destroy, and Simp has a 1.75 as well. This guy just cannot be stopped. Kenny had a great map as well that we saw in that Los Angeles Thieves match that they played also. So yeah, very impressive stuff. This is the overall KDs in those game modes. Control as well, Scraps has a 1.48, Dashy with a 1.43. So of course, only 1 week. Some of these players right here maybe only played one match because Toronto and some other teams only played one game. But yeah, also thought I'd mention this real quick. If you guys are looking for like a place where all the highlights are collected every single day, the Breaking Point YouTube channel is uploading the highlights like almost straight after the matches conclude. So yeah, it might be something you guys would like to check out if you want to make sure you don't miss any highlights from the day of action if you happen to miss certain matches here or there. Let's get into things then. So of course, yesterday the viewership was pretty good, all things considered, especially because the match finished, I mean, what time was it in the UK? Like 2, I think it finished at 2 in the morning once again. I mean, they all went to game 5s, and that's that second series, there was like a replay map 1 right in this matchup, Dallas versus Minnesota Rokkr. So certainly understandable it went on pretty late, but I mean, yeah, still having 120,000 viewers, I think it peaked at for OpTic Chicago versus Atlanta FaZe. Given it's not a major, it's still pretty impressive, to be honest, for the COD League, the first real big matchup of the season. But another big matchup, which maybe people were expecting to be a little bit more clear-cut, was Dallas Empire versus Minnesota Rokkr. FaZe versus OpTic on Valentine's Day, they really gave us Rokkr, saying it's going to be an easy match. We looked at this yesterday, and I said in the video, look, bad juju exists. This type of stuff tends to happen, that when teams tweet this out, it comes back to bite them. And what I will say is, this is great, right? This is great for, drama, storylines, all this type of stuff. When teams are, poking some jabs here and there, it definitely entices the community to say some things back when they do end up losing. So it's good for us to talk about things, but at the same time, maybe the Dallas guys aren't particularly happy the fact that their social guys tweeted this out, because, COD players tend to be somewhat superstitious, and maybe this did affect their performance somehow or another. As you can see, game 5, Rokkr win it in a 6-2 fashion. Accuracy dominates the final map on Garrison Search and Destroy, and they lost both, they lost both S&Ds in the series, that being the Dallas Empire. That's a pretty rare thing, given you look at their team. Crimsix, I mean, you've got, of course, Huke, ILLey, Shotzzy, the Zio trio, and, they don't often lose Search and Destroys. But Rokkr, super disciplined. They've won all their S&Ds so far this season, and honestly, they can be a very scary squad. Up against LA Thieves, they lost all the respawns, which you're not expecting them to do always, and if against the team like the Dallas Empire, they can win one respawn, they can steal a respawn here or there, like they did in the Control this time around. They lost both hardpoints once again, but if they can start, upping their hardpoint game, if they can keep stealing controls, if they can keep winning their Search and Destroys at a high rate, as they seem to be doing, Rokkr are certainly one of the scariest teams in the game, and not an easy team to get past, right? And maybe the Dallas Empire social guys were underestimating that to quite some degree. Dallas lose their first matchup of the season. Interesting, of course, the only two teams to have not lost a single map through the Kickoff Classic and the opening week were the Dallas Empire and OpTic Chicago. And both those teams now lost their matchups 3-2 at the conclusion of yesterday's action. Wanted to mention this as well, Huke got a 1.26. Rest of the guys not really putting up the numbers maybe you would expect from this team. And yeah, the Minnesota Rokkr really do get the job done in a very well-played series from them. So a bit of drama on the timeline as a result. We had Methods tweet out, I think, Gunless is top green. Alright, I'm going vent or something to that effect, because, Gunless on this 240 hertz is a force to be reckoned with. And then Methods comes out in reply, or another one a little bit later on. Accuracy's top green. Alright, I'm going floating tank. I'm going to chow this guy, is what he's kind of trying to say. And Sensor's kind of laughing because of the beef between Accuracy and Sensor. These fans are crazy. No kizzy. accuracy, says accuracy, and then, well, in reply, we have a look at one of his tweets that he says in just a second. As Crim says, GG to Rokkr, played bad, team played bad, terrible gameplay all across the board, lots I'm sure to learn on, and, you know, certainly a wake-up call maybe for these guys, thinking that, okay, these matchups are going to be relatively straightforward, we should be dominating our group, but yeah, Rokkr come out and show, look, if you lose a respawn to us, you're going to be in a difficult time even winning a search and destroy, and well, certainly S&D is, as we're going to talk about later today, probably the biggest facet of so many teams right now, and well, Rokkr looking super good. You would expect Empire to have won one of those maps, and well, they didn't, and that cost them the series in the end. Pretty remarkable to see. Accuracy comes out with this then, so firing some shots back at the Dallas Empire, saying, look, okay, I didn't say anything last night when you tweeted this out, but I'm going to show you guys game 5. I'm the one who's going to turn it around and be the Iceman, so get absolutely rocked, says Accuracy to the Dallas Empire, and then they say, like, onto the XGGs to Rokkr, and the replies to this absolutely superb, you know, cloud emojis, all this type of stuff going on down there in the replies, and in London say images that precede unfortunate events. Rokkr, pretty fortunate for them, right? Great result, of course, on the whole, and well, repping over their analyst staff, said it earlier, Rokkr in 5, there's a picture, of course, of Brian Sate, looking absolutely superb. So these are Dallas's matchups for the rest of the stage. They play up against London, then they play New York, then they play Los Angeles Thieves, and honestly, like, just looking at this makes me realise how many blockbuster matches, I suppose, that we are going to have this season, right? Because Dallas played the Minnesota Rokkr, that game 5 loss, pretty surprising, right? I wonder what you guys think exactly about this, whether they can bounce back to great effect up against London, given that they lost to Seattle Surge, shouldn't be too much of a difficulty there, and of course, Dallas looks so good up until this Minnesota match, so certainly an off series for the Dallas Empire, but yeah, search and destroy is such an important aspect of really any team's game right now. If you're going to lose both of them in a series, you're going to have a difficult time. Rokkr looking very good, very disciplined indeed. Somewhat surprised that Dallas seemed to be so lost at times in the search and destroy. You'd expect them, apparently they've been practicing it pretty heavily up against, you know, these best of 11s and stuff, up against OpTic Chicago, but then again, clearly OpTic Chicago search and destroy didn't seem to be so good either, so maybe that's not exactly the best team to practice against. But Dallas Empire, the reigning world champions, I'm sure they will bounce back from this, but I think a lot of people, including myself, maybe came into this thinking, okay, they'll probably just romp their group 5-0. Rokkr might put up a fight. I thought Rokkr would maybe be the closest competition to Dallas, but then you're looking further down the list, and you're looking at a team like Los Angeles Thieves that looks very good, that beat the Minnesota Rokkr pretty handily, even though if it had gone to game 5, maybe Rokkr would have been the favourites in that to just about take it. But yeah, Los Angeles Thieves against Dallas, that's a big question mark as well. The respawns from LA Thieves looking super deadly as of late, and yeah, just goes to show, right, that even though you are the reigning world champions in this 4v versus 4 environment, when and so many teams are so competitive right now, it's very difficult to do anything but, well, go to game 5s, and if you're not going to win your game 5s, you're going to put yourself in a difficult spot, and the GG situation that they gave themselves by doing this tweet yesterday didn't exactly help them out, in my opinion. But we will have to see how quickly they can bounce back from this one. So, the COD League say these are the overall point standings at the end of the weekend. I'll bring up on screen for you guys right now. So, I would have been pretty surprised if you told me before the weekend began that it would be Thieves and FaZe sharing the top prize. Definitely makes sense that FaZe would go 2-0, that's certainly understandable, but Thieves are pretty impressive from them. Ultra, of course, only played one match on the weekend, but a 3-1 victory against the Florida Mutineers, very impressive indeed. Dallas and OpTic down here at 1-1. Also asks the question, just to touch on really quick, probably not going to do a separate video on this, but what, who's the best team in the game right now, right? We came into this weekend saying, okay, Empire, probably number 1 in the other group, then you've got, okay, FaZe and OpTic, whoever wins, that'll be the number 1 in the other group, and then you're thinking, okay, well, the fact that Dallas Empire lost this series doesn't mean that FaZe are now the best team in the game. I mean, it's difficult maybe to completely argue. I mean, Los Angeles Thieves are actually right up there. Minnesota Rokkr winning matches against the Dallas Empire. Super tough to say, like, who actually is the best team right now. So much, well, to talk about, I'm sure, over the coming weeks. If you're not yet subscribed, I would greatly appreciate it if you would at least consider it at the very least. Gorillas and Surge both win a matchup as well, and then they've got teams yet to win a series, the most notable of which being Paris Legion 0-2 at the present time, but plenty of time, of course, to turn things around. On the whole, though, just wanted to say real quick, the broadcast was pretty damn good this weekend. There weren't too many things that were much of an issue, to be honest. Yeah, there were some map replays and such like this, but we talked about a couple of days ago and also yesterday, the replays coming into play. The rulebook didn't seem to be too invasive in terms of what it forced the, you know, the CDL referees and such to go down a route which the players didn't necessarily want to follow. And well, as Loony does say, look, there was some echo on the stream. I remember when I think it was Enable who joined the broadcast really briefly, and there was certainly an echo going on his end. It didn't make it exactly perfect to watch, and there was still some like audio delays, like you see Miles, for example, will tend to be like ahead of the gameplay that we can see, and also when they go to listenings and stuff, I've noticed quite a lot that the players are like maybe 2 or 3 seconds ahead in terms of what we're hearing as to what we see on the screen. So you hear people saying like, okay, he's dead, and then you see him kill him like 2 seconds later or something. So definitely some audio audio delays and some syncing issues that maybe should be fixed, and also the echo, as Loony is saying. But on the whole, compared to the first, well, I suppose the first appearance we saw of the CDL this time last season in Modern Warfare, of course, it's a much better viewing experience, and the matchups are fantastic. And yeah, so much to talk about here as to which teams can bounce back, which teams will continue their reign of terror, and it's Los Angeles Thieves and the Atlanta FaZe that have yet to lose a series so far. This question I thought was interesting from Crone as well. Which player surprised you this weekend? Thought Prestinni was a decent shout. Pretty difficult to say exactly which player surprised me. I think if I had to pick one, I'd probably give a shout maybe to Toby CleanX, right? Like over at the Toronto Ultra team. He was absolutely phenomenal in all their respawn maps, playing a pretty difficult role, of course. And well, that guy, I mean, not many people talk about him, right, as being one of the best SMGs in the game. But when you look at that series back against a team like Florida Mutineers, you've got to think, damn, this guy is, well, something special. And they're going to be playing against OpTic Chicago very soon indeed. And with Scump not necessarily having the best couple of series here, and the SMG players not exactly looking superb in that series against Atlanta FaZe, yeah, he is certainly someone that to keep an eye on that, well, may upset potentially the OpTic Chicago once again. Who really knows? I think it'll all come down maybe to that game 2 search and destroy. Whoever wins that will have a very solid chance of winning the series. Intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm to know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and help grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always, take care, and I will see you next time.